And this is a comment and a statement that they put out yesterday, so no new one as of today. But here it reads, "It is our legal responsibility to safely care for unaccompanied children until they can be swiftly unified with a parent or a vetted sponsor. As part of the unification process, our Office of Refugee Resettlement facilitates travel for the children in its custody to their family or sponsors across the country. In recent weeks, unaccompanied children pass through the Westchester Airport en route to their final destination to be unified with their parents or vetted sponsor." Now let's bring in Arkansas Republican Senator Tom Cotton. Senator, welcome. This story is captivating the nation as we see these flights landing in the dark of night. Why the secrecy? And again, we have reached out many times on this report to the White House, and they are not deploying anybody to us, and they have not given us a direct statement on it. So why the secrecy?
Well, that's a very good question. I remember when I was in the Army on Friday afternoon, the first sergeant would brief all the privates for the weekend, and he'd remind them that nothing good usually happens after midnight. Yeah. And I think we can now extend that old Army wisdom to Joe Biden's immigration policy as well. The obvious reason why they're flying these migrants across the country in the dead of night is because they don't want to reveal the consequences of their open borders policy. Look, if they were proud of their policy, if they thought it was a political winner for them, they'd be having these flights in the middle of the daytime. They'd be coordinating it with the local TV stations. They'd be celebrating what they view as a great accomplishment. But they know that Joe Biden's open border policy is a political disaster. So they're trying to hide the consequences of that policy in the dark of night.
The New York Post editorial board shared a similar sentiment. And just a heads up, we got the 2-minute warning from the White House. Jen Psaki about to begin that briefing shortly. We'll go to her when she starts taking questions because, Senator, she will likely face questions about this. And our own Peter Doocy is in that briefing room. Here's the editorial board this morning, in addition to their reporting on this, saying, quote, "Biden playing a deadly game using these secret flights to move migrants. There's a reason the Biden administration is using these secret flights to small airports to move unaccompanied minors who illegally cross the border. They don't want voters to know just how many people are being waved right into the country, because President Biden understands that open borders might be the policy of progressives, but it's not popular among the majority of Americans." And bottom line, this is a sign, as we see this happening, Senator, that this is not just a border issue. We are now seeing this spread to many other parts of the country. And with these flights landing in Westchester, reportedly, these migrant children are being sent to all over the tri-state area. We know of a facility in Long Island. We have phone calls into them. They are not returning our calls, and they're certainly not giving us any statement on the demographic of those children, how they're being vetted. We are told that some landing are men in their early 20s. So how big of an issue is this for President Biden politically if he continues to remain silent on what his strategy is here?
Well, it's very hurtful for President Biden politically, but it's a catastrophe for our country. We're going to be close to 2 million migrants crossing our border very soon. Texas is a big country with a lot of great people, but not even Texas can keep 2 million new residents there. That's why they're flying them to places like Florida and New York and all points in between. And this is going to put real strain on those communities, on their hospitals, on their school systems, on their housing, on their police departments as well. All of these migrants should not be in Texas or Florida or New York. They should be in Mexico, because President Biden should have kept the Remain in Mexico policy in place to make sure that people aren't entering the country with bogus claims of asylum. But he rescinded on his first day. Federal courts have told him he has to re-implement it. He's going to do that next month. But in the meantime, we've had 2 million illegal migrants not just cross the border, but fan out across the country.
Ted Cruz teed on this, your Republican colleague in the Senate, earlier this morning. Listen.
Their entire political strategy is based on secrecy. What is happening at our southern border is an absolute tragedy. We've had over 1.3 million people cross illegally. We're on a path to have over 2 million people cross. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris caused this, and their entire strategy is ignore it, and they're counting on the corrupt corporate media to ignore it as well. So of course they fly in the middle of the night because they have no defense.
You know, and important to point out, we all sympathize with the fact that there are children and families that are willing to make this dangerous journey. And the editorial board at the Post so eloquently points that out this morning, Senator. Of course, there's sympathy for parents who so desperately have their children looking for a better life that they have a 7-year-old walk to America. But by not having a set policy, by not forcing people to apply for a visa from the country they live in, you're making a mockery of our immigration laws. And the board goes further to say you are also encouraging a terrible, dangerous pipeline. How many children will be assaulted or die trying to get here? And that is a really important point to make, Senator.
It's vitally important. I don't see how it's moral to encourage desperate parents who are living in poverty to try to send their children thousands of miles across Latin America to get to our southern border. It's also totally arbitrary. There are many places in Africa and Asia and Europe that would love to come here, but simply because they don't share a land border with the United States or can't get to a land border, they're not welcome in our country. This is the moral catastrophe of Joe Biden's immigration policy. They act like it's some great moral victory when in reality it's creating incentives for very dangerous and immoral behavior.
And look, people just want some transparency on this issue. We'll see what the White House says in just a moment. Mike Pompeo putting out earlier, it's simple. We should know who is coming in and out of our country. And Senator Marsha Blackburn, by the way, is dealing with this in Tennessee as well. She says the administration has been secretly flying illegal aliens into Tennessee for months, and now we know that they're doing the same in New York. So you and many other members of Congress are identifying that this is not just a new problem. This is something that's been going on for some time. Now we have pictures showing it there in Westchester. Senator, thank you.
Thank you.